In my line of work, you see people on the absolute worst days of their lives. I've pulled people out of burning cars, I've done CPR on living room floors, and I've held the hands of strangers as they took their last breath. When you see that much tragedy, you realize what actually matters in life: loyalty, family, and having someone who has your back. I thought I had that. I was dead wrong. My name is Marcus. I'm 35 years old, and I've been a firefighter and paramedic for over a decade. 7 years ago, I married Chloe. Chloe was a receptionist at a dermatology clinic, but she spent most of her time trying to become a wellness influencer. We were drowning in her debt. Between her credit cards, her expensive yoga retreats, and her constant need to buy clothes for her Instagram feed, we lived paycheck to paycheck. To keep us afloat, I worked insane hours. I did my standard 48-hour shifts at the firehouse, and on my days off, I worked private ambulance shifts just to pay the minimum balances on her cards. I was exhausted. I was running on black coffee and adrenaline for years. But I never complained. I took my vows seriously, for richer or for poorer. I assumed she felt the same way. But Chloe didn't want a partner. She wanted a payday.
The shift didn't happen gradually. It happened overnight. It was mid-October. I had just come off a brutal 72-hour shift fighting a commercial warehouse fire. I came home covered in soot, completely dead on my feet, expecting my wife to at least ask if I was okay. Instead, Chloe was sitting at the kitchen table, perfectly manicured, with a folder in front of her. "I want a divorce," she said. No emotion, no tears, just cold, dead eyes. "I'm not happy, Marcus. We've grown apart. I need to find myself." I was completely blindsided. I begged her to go to couples counseling. I asked her what I did wrong. She just shook her head and said, "It's over. I want a fast, uncontested divorce. I want to be single by Christmas." Then the red flags started dropping like anvils. First, her demeanor. Usually when a couple with no money gets divorced, there is panic about who is going to pay the rent. Chloe didn't care. She was completely unbothered by finances, which was bizarre for a woman who maxed out a credit card buying organic smoothies. Second, the wellness guru. Chloe started spending all her time with her new personal trainer, Jax. Jax was a guy who wore muscle tees, lived in a rented studio apartment, and called himself a spiritual life coach. Suddenly, Chloe was spending the nights at his place, claiming they were just meditating through her trauma. Third, the rush. She hired an incredibly aggressive, expensive divorce lawyer. I had no idea how she afforded him, who started pushing to finalize our asset division in record time. I felt like I was losing my mind, until the universe decided to throw me a lifeline.
Chloe had moved most of her stuff to Jax's apartment, but she left her old winter coats in our hall closet. I was boxing them up to drop off at her new place. When I pulled down her heavy ski jacket, I heard paper crinkling in the inside breast pocket. I reached in, thinking it was a dry cleaning receipt. It wasn't. It was a state lottery megabucks ticket. Attached to it with a paperclip was a printed verification slip from a gas station kiosk. I looked at the numbers. Then I looked at the verification slip. Prize amount, $4 million. Status, unclaimed. My heart stopped. The purchase date on the ticket was October 12th, 3 days before she demanded the divorce. I dug deeper into the pocket and found a folded handwritten letter. It was a pros and cons list she had made, likely during a manifestation session with Jax. It read, "If I cash it now, it's a marital asset. Marcus gets $2 million. He doesn't deserve it. He's just a boring firefighter. If I divorce him fast, we officially separate our finances. I wait 60 days, claim the ticket as a single woman, and keep all $4 million for me and Jax to start our wellness center in Bali." I couldn't breathe. My wife didn't leave me because we grew apart. She didn't leave me because she was unhappy. She left me because she hit the jackpot, and her greed was so absolute, so toxic, that she would rather destroy my heart than share a single dollar with the man who worked himself to the bone to keep her out of bankruptcy.
In an emergency, panic gets you killed. When you are inside a burning building, you don't scream at the fire. You observe the structure, you find the exit, and you execute the protocol. I didn't steal the ticket. If I took it, she would realize it was missing, report it stolen to the Lottery Commission, and trigger a massive legal battle. Instead, I laid the ticket and the verification slip on the counter under perfect lighting. I took dozens of ultra-high-resolution photos of the front and back of the ticket, ensuring the unique barcode and the serial numbers were crystal clear. I took photos of her handwritten note. Then, I carefully folded everything exactly as I had found it, put it back in the breast pocket of her ski jacket, and packed it in the box. When I dropped the boxes off at Jax's apartment, I handed her the jacket personally. "I found this in the closet," I said, looking sad and broken. "I just want you to be happy, Chloe. Let's just get this divorce over with." She gave me a fake, pitiful smile. "Thank you, Marcus. It's for the best." I walked back to my truck, closed the door, and let out a laugh that sounded more like a growl. I wasn't going to fight her for my half. I was going to take it all. I didn't go to a cheap lawyer. I took out a personal loan and hired a former state prosecutor who had transitioned into high net worth divorce litigation. I sat in his mahogany office and slid the photographs across his desk. He looked at the $4 million ticket, then at the date, then at her handwritten note. He leaned back in his leather chair and smiled. "Marcus," he said, "in family law, there is a legal document called the Sworn Financial Disclosure Affidavit. Both spouses must sign it under penalty of perjury, listing every single asset they own. Hiding a winning lottery ticket purchased during the marriage is considered fraud on the court." He explained that there was a famous legal precedent, a case where a wife hid a $1.3 million lottery win. Because she committed fraud and perjury to hide it, the judge didn't just give the husband his 50% marital share. The judge penalized her by awarding the husband 100% of the winnings. "We don't say a word," my lawyer instructed. "We let her sign the affidavit. We let her commit perjury. We let her step into the bear trap. And then we snap it shut." For the next 2 months, I played the cooperative, defeated ex-husband. I agreed to let her keep her car. I agreed to take on the remaining $10,000 of her credit card debt. I gave her everything she asked for, making sure she felt completely invincible.
The final divorce mediation took place in a sterile conference room at the courthouse. Chloe was sitting next to her expensive lawyer, holding Jack's hand under the table. She looked radiant, practically counting the millions in her head. The mediator slid the final sworn financial disclosure affidavits across the table. "Does this document accurately represent all of your current assets, accounts, and holdings?" the mediator asked Chloe. "Remember, you are signing under penalty of perjury." Chloe didn't even blink. "Yes, it does," she said, signing her name with a flourish. My lawyer reached into his briefcase. He didn't pull out a pen.
He pulled out a massive, blown-up 11 by 17 color photograph of the winning lottery ticket and her handwritten note. He placed it directly in the center of the table. "Before my client signs," my lawyer said, his voice cutting through the room like a scalpel, "we need to amend the asset list. It appears the plaintiff forgot to declare the $4 million Megabucks ticket she purchased on October 12th using marital funds." The silence in the room was deafening. Chloe's eyes locked onto the photograph, all the color drained from her face. She looked like she had just been hit by a freight train. Her lawyer looked at the photograph, then looked at Chloe in absolute horror. "Chloe," he whispered, "what is this?" "She was planning to claim it after the divorce was finalized today," my lawyer continued, sliding the photos of the handwritten note to her lawyer. "Which means she just signed a sworn federal affidavit containing a material lie. That is perjury. That is criminal fraud." Jax, the spiritual life coach, let go of Chloe's hand and pushed his chair back. "You lied to me," Chloe screamed at me, tears streaming down her face. "You went through my things. That's my money." I looked at her, completely unbothered. "Actually, Chloe," I said, "according to the judge we are about to see, it's mine." The smoke is clearing, the tone of a man watching karma do its absolute best work. We went directly before the family court judge. When the judge saw the sworn affidavit she had just signed, followed by the time-stamped photos of the winning ticket and the handwritten note detailing her plot to defraud me, he was furious. Judges do not like being lied to. He cited the exact legal precedent my lawyer had prepared for. Because Chloe acted with malicious intent to conceal a marital asset and committed perjury, she forfeited her right to her 50% share. The judge ordered that 100% of the $4 million lottery winnings be awarded exclusively to me as punitive damages. Chloe collapsed in the courtroom, sobbing hysterically. The fallout was beautiful. Because I was awarded the ticket, I claimed it through a blind trust. After taxes, I walked away with over $2.5 million in cash. Chloe got nothing. Actually, that's not true. She got the $10,000 in credit card debt that the judge reassigned back to her, plus the massive legal bill from her own attorney, who fired her as a client immediately after the hearing for lying to him. And Jax? The moment he realized Chloe wasn't going to be a millionaire, his spiritual connection with her vanished. He dumped her the very next day, packed his bags, and moved to Florida, leaving her with the lease on his apartment. It's been 2 years since that day in court. I didn't quit the fire department. I love my job too much, but I don't work the insane overtime anymore. I paid off my house, I bought a boat, and I set up a college fund for my nieces and nephews. I sleep peacefully every single night. Last I heard, Chloe is working double shifts as a receptionist at a car dealership, trying to pay off her massive legal debts and her credit cards. She plays the lottery every single week, hoping lightning will strike twice. It won't. If there is a lesson to be learned here, it's this. Greed is a poison that blinds you to your own mistakes. If you are breaking your back for someone who doesn't appreciate you, stop. And if you ever find out that your partner is trying to financially destroy you in the dark, don't rush to turn on the lights. Let them keep walking in the dark, right up until the moment they step off the cliff. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, hit the subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me in the comments, what would you do with a $4 million winning ticket? Stay safe out there, and always tell the truth under oath.